Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Shorty September 2024. A BookTube event, like so many September BookTube events, it's waning days, only a couple of days left of Shorty September, and the concentration here is on shorter books. I think Shorty September gives the outer boundary at around 250 pages, 250 pages, something like that. I've been trying to go for much shorter books in Shorty September. They're really great to add to the pile for the night's reading. And I've been concentrating on rereads. Just to pick stuff off my shelves that doesn't get as much attention. And I have one of those today that has its strengths and weaknesses. The book that I have today is Michael Nyland's translation of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Tiny little thing in this Norton edition. It is 150 pages, and that's with the introduction and with the notes. The book itself is not all that long. It's 2,500 years old, and it is revered by West Point generals and dude bros alike as the ultimate war manual, man, that has insights into the nature of war that are so brilliant as to be almost supernatural. And this book, this book. there are 4 or 5 Eastern literature classics that are not novels, that are not epics or fiction. There are 4 or 5 other kinds of books, nonfiction, I guess you could call them, of Eastern origin, ancient Eastern origin, that are constantly put forward as fonts of wisdom. And I have grappled with these books my whole reading life. Not just trying to understand them, but trying to find any wisdom in them at all. Just not a lot of wisdom, just a tiny bit here and there, something to give me something. I have tried this so many times with the Tao Te Ching or the Analects of Confucius. I've tried so many times to see some worth in them, something that would cause them to be venerated. And I haven't. I have failed all of my 28 years, and I have developed a theory, of course, as I want to do, a theory in the back of my mind as to why that is. Not why I failed. I have failed because there isn't any wisdom in these things. But as to why they would be characterized as being full of wisdom, why they would be quoted by cod philosophers, military generals, the occasional Irish Catholic president, why they would be revered by dude bros. And I think I have an answer, which is their origin. They are not from the West. It's the whole mystical, fuzzy idea of the inscrutable East that clings to these things and gives them a bogus aura of wisdom. So I've read many translations of The Art of War. I read a great number of them in preparation for writing about this thing, about Nyland's translation. And on your Norton hardcover and your Norton paperback, and I believe also the new Norton Critical of this, you will see evidence of that because you have Dennis Washburn, the great translator of The Tale of Genji, but you also have yours truly writing about this. I wanted to do a full-scale comparison of the English in this. This is very, very good. It's a very, very good volume, a great translator's note, great introduction, and a really zippy translation. This is very much not meant. Sun Tzu, I don't think, wrote this to sound like a modern day military manual, and this is one of the only translations that doesn't sound like one, I think. So I can recommend this translation in terms of giving you the book and also the notes and the critical apparatus and all that. But the book itself, I threw it on the pile last night to reread it, preparatory to Shorty September, and this is, I don't know, I've read this translation probably 5 times. I've read pretty much every other translation of this that I can find in English, and it's garbage. It's nonsense. Well, it's revered only because it's old and it's from a pagoda somewhere on a hill. There's a little bit of encoded, soft, benevolent racism in here. Oh, the mystical Chinaman, that sort of thing, I think is baked in here. Whereas if this came from Poland, it could be as brilliant as could be. We have 5 great, absolutely brilliant military manuals from Polish authors They knew a lot. If your country's a battleground, you come to know a lot about war, a lot more than Sun Tzu ever knew, whoever Sun Tzu was, because everything that he makes about here, everything. If this were from a European origin, it would not be venerated. How many books that basically, the title basically translates as The Art of War, were written in the late Middle Ages and the early years of the Renaissance that aren't even known to the Dude Bro audience, and they don't even know that they exist. They're out there. They're not mystical enough. And part of the way that Sun Tzu gains this, that encourages this mysticism, is to write non sequiturs all through this book with such confidence that you're almost tempted to believe them. You almost are. You're almost tempted to believe, well, if he's saying this, it seems contradictory, but if he's saying it with such serene confidence, it must be true. Now, no. All great military campaigns are conducted in secret, is one of his maxims in here. That is laughably false. And it was laughably false 2,500 years ago in China. It was laughably false then, too. We have plenty of military records. That is laughably false. I don't even know where to begin. Almost any example of any great battle that you can think of will contradict that. And it is just serenely propounded as fact. It's up to you to interpret. You have to immediately start with the exegesis to figure out a way in which that's true. But on the surface, just the statement of it is laughably false, childishly false. At another point, we're just serenely told soldiers who are trapped and outnumbered and the cause is hopeless and they're behind enemy lines will fight all the fiercer. No, absolutely not. That is absolutely not true. That is demonstrably innumerable times over proven to be not true. And yet, well, they'll fight on in their hearts, I think is what he means. And so on and so forth. All the way through this book. The aforementioned Irish Catholic president, who, God bless him, was a great reader, but not always a deep reader, I love to quote the bit about how wars are won in the temples before they're won on the battlefield. No, no, not at all. I assure you, there were thousands of temples in Carthage. The military maxims in here are just nonsense, and they don't take any more than a minute to refute. You don't even need to be a fan of military history to know that they're codswallop. And I think the reason why they are venerated even so is because there's this aura of mysticism to them. There's the blowing of the lotus tree and whatnot, the trellis work with figures in shadow moving behind it. And maybe things aren't what they seem. Right? like the mother of all these things, it's not Sun Tzu's fault. That the mother of all these things for me is the Tao, which can be observed, is not the true Tao. Okay, thanks, Seymour. Seymour-san. All this stuff. I'm sorry if I am being a very bog-trotting Irish right now, but all of this mystical crapola just leaves me out in the cold. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not willing to do exegesis in order to save it from its own on-the-face falsity. I don't know what to make of why this crap is venerated. The fiction from the ancient Eastern world, ancient Japan, and also especially ancient China, sure. Tons and tons of insights. Tons and tons of beauty. But these proverby type things, no, I don't get them at all. I never will. I'm sure that I never will. Especially the Tao Te Ching. As often as I've grappled with the Art of War, I've grappled with the Tao Te Ching even more, and it's just anyway, that's your Shorty September for today. It's the Art of War, but at least I can recommend this edition, this Norton edition. I very much do recommend it. It's a very snappy translation. So anyway, I'll wrap this up for now. I don't know if I will continue with Shorty September. If you want me to, I will add a short book to my stack tonight. But we're almost out of days for September. And I don't want to keep bothering you with all these books that I've reread. But maybe I will. They're easy enough to add to the reading pile. So we'll find out tomorrow. We'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.